Welcome to session 1 of the beginner program. This is Kieran, my model and lovely friend, who's going to help me today to teach you some basic Pilates moves. You may need some cushions or a rolled up towel to support your head, and you may need a block or a chair today in order to sit on to help you. So let's get started. So Kieran, if you come down and lie on your back, and we're going to teach you the relaxation position first, which many of the Pilates exercises start from. So Kieran is going to lie here. We're going to place his feet at hip distance apart roughly. So we're going to try to align the knees with the hips here. So Kieran, if you bring your feet a little narrower, if that feels okay in your hips, that would be great. And then from the feet, we think knees at hip distance apart, in order to bring him up to the pelvis now, where we're going to try to find neutral pelvis. So neutral pelvis is where we will ideally like the pelvis to be balanced, but it's not a fixated point. So if Kieran puts his fingertips on his pubic bone, so that is the protrusion at the tip of your pelvis at the bottom, and the heels of his hands on his hip bones, he could then see if his pelvis is in the level field. So we want the pubic bone and the hip bones to be aligned, and let's try to find what is neutral pelvis. So imagine you have a bowl of water balanced on your pelvis, Kieran, and that bowl of water is really full. And Kieran's going to tip that bowl of water through his legs, so the water flows through his legs, and notice how that arches his back. As he tips the bowl of water towards his chest now, that will flatten his back. And he'll keep moving through those 2 points. So going through the legs, excellent, and then coming back. And then find a middle point between the two where you find the pubic bones and hip bones are balanced, like a spirit level, like a flat plane. And it's a rough estimate. Everybody is different. I'm not expecting you to be fixated in this point or to find it straight away, but find it roughly, which is the best advice I can give you. So from here now, does that feel comfortable, hopefully for you, Kieran? Now, as you notice, the different points of how the pelvis is held will affect your spine. The spine snakes in its natural curves. Some people have bigger curves through their spine or flatter curves. And where the pelvis is balanced, that will affect those curves. So now what I want Kieran to think about is, from the base of the pelvis, you have your sacrum. It's a triangular bone at the base of the pelvis. And I'm sure Kieran can probably feel that. It's near the tailbone. Now, from there, you go sacrum. Then you go lumbar spine. The lumbar spine is in a concaved curve. It's curved more like a hollow. Then you come up to the thoracic spine, your upper back, and that's a convex curve. So it goes more like a bowl shape like that. Then you have your neck as a cervical curve, again into that arch, that dome, and then you've got the back of your head. Those curves elongate and naturally snake along the mat. And I want you to feel that you're elongating without force, without fixation, but just sense an elongation from the sacrum through to the head. So hopefully that feels good. At this point, Kieran's in a really beautiful position. He may need a cushion, so I'm going to add one cushion to Kieran. If you can see how his chin comes in slightly like this, I'm going to put a cushion underneath there. So depending on your own body, if you feel your chin is sticking up, I would stick a couple of cushions on your head or a thicker rolled up towel. Or if you feel your curve is too flat, then no towel. Maybe just increase the chin lift. Okay, so from there, let's get started with some core engagement. Now, the core is made up of your pelvic floor muscles, and I'm not sure how much you already know about your pelvic floor muscles, but you do have them, and I have been told by some men, I don't think I had a pelvic floor muscle. So the pelvic floor is made up of the muscle that stops you farting and pooing, and the muscle that stops you weeing, and also your sexual muscles as well. So the pelvic floor is really important. It stops your organs from basically descending, and it helps you in terms of your continence and your sexual health. So excellent to be doing Pilates for your pelvic floor muscles. Now, how to engage those muscles. So the pelvic floor is made up, as I said, of the back passage and front passage, and that's what we're going to focus on more today. So Kieran's going to gently engage his back passage, meaning he gently stops himself from, let's say, for instance, doing a fart, to the tip, so your penis, so where your urethra. Let's think about gently closing that as well. So it's not a grip for dear life. You're not going at 100%. You're going at around 30% of that engagement, and then he's going to release it. If I ask Kieran now to put his fingertips onto his hip bones, so those bony protrusions, and bring his thumbs into about an inch or a few centimeters into that section, you'll find a hollowing in there. Now, I've asked him to put his fingers there because that is where most people think about your core or your ab muscles. When you engage your pelvic floor and the deep abdominals, so if you lightly engage that, Kieran's nodding because we've gone through this already, that he can feel a muscle pop up underneath his thumbs. That's your transverse abdominis. That is the deepest layer of your abs. And it wraps around you, so it attaches from the pubic bone to here, and it wraps around into your back. That's your corset of protection, of care for your back. So that's another super thing about Pilates, is that it engages your core, not only from the pelvic floor, but also into your abdominals, which is essential for your back and that protection of your back. So as Kieran engages, he can feel that, and then he's going to release it. And again, you're going to take a deep breath in. As you exhale, gently drawing in through those muscles, and he will feel his abs engage. Now, we can increase that. We can turn the dial up on that. Kieran can consciously now think about where his thumbs are, that the hip bones draw towards the midline. They're like lift doors. If he thinks about the hip bones pulling towards the midline of his body, to his belly button, he could increase the effect or the gradient or the intensity of the abdominals. And then he can release it. Now, what I want Kieran to do now, which is what I don't want you guys to do in the future, is to go 100%. So I want you to go to brace. So engage all your pelvic floor 100%. You're going to squeeze everything. You're feeling your six pack engaged now, probably feeling your neck engaged. Not a nice position to be in. And then he's going to release that. That's where I don't want you to be. Your core engagement works best at 30%, which is super hard sometimes for blokes, for men, because you're kind of conditioned to like six pack. Let's work hard. Let's strengthen. Try to find the subtlety with that, and it will come in time. So don't stress over it. So now we know how to engage the core. And this will come in more time as you progress to more intermediate level, it will become easier. So shall we get challenging the core, and let's get working your spine. So now what we're going to do with Kieran is he can put his hands down now by his side, and we're going to start doing some pelvic stability exercises. Can we maintain the pelvis in a neutral position whilst engaging our core? And we're going to start doing that with a simple leg slide. So Kieran's going to engage lightly and keep the breath flowing as much as he can, and feel relaxed on the chest and relaxed in his jaw. He's going to slide his leg out. So you're going to slide your leg out fully as much as you can, trying to maintain that balance of that pelvis, that bowl of water there, from tipping away and towards him, and actually to the sides as well. And then he's going to bring that leg back along, that's it, and lightly slide the other leg away. And you do this as well. Good, and slide it back, well done. Keep going. And again, sliding that leg away. Exhaling for me now, Kieran, and relaxing the chest, well done. Come back, and we're going to do another one. So we're trying to engage, Kieran's trying to engage his pelvic floor and maintain that engagement throughout. If you can't do that, don't worry about it, just re-engage and have a rest. Good. The next challenge is a knee fold. So maintaining the pelvis in this neutral position. Kieran's going to engage the pelvic floor, so you do that as well. And you're going to try to lift your leg up. So Kieran's going to lift this leg up, keeping the knee bent at 90 degrees roughly, and draw the knee over the hip or further in. Maintain the pelvic position. You're challenging the core more with a bit more load, and then you're going to place the leg down with control. So as you place the leg down, you're still thinking about that full bowl of water. Try not to spill it on your pelvis. Now he's going to do the other side. Exhaling to lift. That's it. Keep the knee bent as much as you can. Excellent. And then place it down. Keep going for one more on each side. Good. Relaxing your breath and relaxing your chest and feeling that really soften here. Good. And all this is bringing some conscious engagement to your pelvic floor and your mind into the movement more. Well done. Excellent. Now we're going to ramp it up. Let's think about that pelvic position, still maintaining, but we're going to lift one leg up. So we're going to do a double knee fold now. Well done. And then Kieran's going to add the load. He's going to lift his other leg up. Now, as he lifts the other leg up, I can see, and I'm sure you can feel, the engagement of the muscles increasing here. Now, you're going to be working more of your six pack now, so your rectus abdominis, and you're going to be working into your obliques as well. I'm sure Kieran can feel the added load. And then you're going to bring the first leg down with control, without tipping. Well done. And then bring the second leg down with control. Excellent. Let's do that again. So start again, lifting one leg up, breathing fully out. That's it, Kieran. Relax your throat, relax your chest. There we go. Well done. And then the other one up. Excellent. And then one down. And you do this in your own time. Nice. Deliberate, slow movements at the beginning, just so it helps with you learning. Well done. Great. Let's get some spinal mobility going now. So taught you about neutral pelvis. Now let's talk about the spine. Bring your feet slightly closer to your bottom because we're going to start working your hamstrings and glutes now. Good. So starting in your relaxation position, gently engaging that core. We've already done the pelvic tilt, so you're going to tip your pubic bone, that bony protrusion at the tip of the pelvis, towards your chest, and you're spilling the bowl of water towards your chest. Excellent. So as that bowl of water tips, you're going to try to increase that tipping as much as you can. The lumbar spine is being flattened. Excellent. Now, working through your feet, gently press your feet down. Now lift your pelvis up. And you're going to try and peel the pelvis off slowly, bone by bone by bone by bone by bone, until you come to a point where Kieran is in a brilliant position where your chest doesn't pop. You're trying to keep the chest flush with the hips flush with the knees. So you can see that nice angle there. And Kieran's going to come down bone by bone. So think about a hand in your back from the top, and I'm deliberately putting my hand here so I can get Kieran to really feel each bone of his spine touch the floor as you come down, and then finally he can let the pelvis come down back into neutral. Great. Keep going. So re-engage the pelvic floor if you've lost it. Kieran's going to tip that pelvis. The bowl of water feels like it's flushing down onto his chest. Excellent. The chest feels nice and soft. And then you come down bone by bone, relax through your throat. Arms are floppy. Definitely no pushing through your arms as you go up, because I want it to be in the legs. Good. Brilliant. One more, curling. Really nice, Kieran, doing really well. And then from here now, I'm going to ask Kieran to do a wrong one. So Kieran, can you really force your back up? There. So Kieran's got excellent flexibility in his spine. You can see this arch here. That's where I don't want you to be. That's a bit more yoga in that sense. What I want Kieran to do is to now drop down. Feel the pubic bone pull towards your chest and the chest drop towards the pubic bone. There. Now, I'm assuring that Kieran will agree with me, much more abs, much more glutes, much more hamstrings in this. And that's where I want you to be. Good. And less back over hyperextension. Good. And come down bone by bone. So really good mobility for your spine in this spine curl, as well as mobility for your hips, as well as a hamstring and hip and a glute strengthener and a hip stretcher. Well done. Excellent work. Okay, we're going to get Kieran off his back now, and you're going to come and join us too. So come onto 4-point kneeling now. So Kieran's going to come onto all fours. Excellent. And we're going to do an exercise called the cat. This is an amazing exercise for your back. This is a back strengthener, keeps your back supple and mobile. So first of all, I'm going to ask Kieran to relax his feet as much as you can. Now, I know for men, this can be quite difficult to have this level of ankle mobility, but see as best as you can. If you start cramping, you can put a block underneath or a cushion underneath your ankles like that if you get cramping in your ankles. So what we're going to do, Kieran roughly has his knees under his hips at hip distance apart, and his hands are underneath his shoulders at shoulder distance apart. So I have quite broad swimmer's shoulders. That's where I would be, and that's the same where Kieran would be, rather than being narrower like that. Now, you haven't got the spine on the floor now. You don't have that feedback of the back of the head, the back of the ribs, and the back of the pelvis. So try your best to sense those points. So you can do the same again. So Kieran feels like he's going to stick his bottom out, and that increases the dip of his lumbar curve there. And now he's going to tip it the other way. So draw the pubic bone to your chest and notice how that gets the back into an arch. He's going to keep doing that back and forth, and then finding the midpoint roughly where it's not too much like this, and then the other way. Good. And then find the midpoint between the two. Well done, Kieran. Excellent. Good. So now you want him to feel like he's relaxing the chest. Yeah, and find a sense of you being stretched from your head to your tailbone. So see if you can feel that elongation. So you've got the back of the head, the back of the shoulders, and the back of the pelvis. Fab. Let's start engaging your core. So before you start the Pilates exercise, as you would have discovered, we want core engagement first. So deliberately and lightly engage your core. Excellent. Now what I want you to do is to curl the pubic bone towards your chest. As you curl the pubic bone towards your chest, your core engages more. Your abs are fully engaged. As you do that, notice how that increases the tensional stretch in your back, and each part of your bone is flexing, flexing, flexing. And then finally, the only bit that needs flexing is your head. So bring your head down. So let the back of your neck lengthen and stretch. Then you're getting this beautiful stretch for your spine, as well as hip mobility. And then now you're going to bring the bones of your body, lengthening the abdominals now, lengthening the spine, and feel that sense of length. And just watching here doesn't arch that way. So less of that. That's it. So come back into that feeling of you're being held here more. Now each body is different. So Kieran has a bigger lumbar curve than we would want to be looking for, want to achieve, but that's okay. Yeah, we're learning here. So let's do it again. So you're going to go into the pelvic tilt. Good, increasing that lumbar curve, and he's basically opening up his hip here. Can you see that, how we want this space to open? And I'm sure Kieran will nod with me. Do you feel a better stretch into your back here, which is his tighter aspect of his body? And come back, lengthening through the spine as we come into there. Well done, excellent. And again, last one. So go into your pelvic tilt, curl the pubic bone towards your chest, increasing that lumbar curve. Enjoy the stretch. Take a breath there now. Breathe into your back. I'm putting my hands deliberately on his back, just through the lumbar areas to increase that stretch, and then come back, and the breath will do that. It expands the rib cage, it expands lower down into that point. Well done, excellent. Now we're going to come into a seated position, and we're going to move the spine in a different way. So Kieran can come and sit first. I'm just going to have a block nearby, or if you have a chair nearby, just to see. And what he's going to do is to sit facing forwards. And I'll sit to the side of him. Now, most men find it really difficult to sit with legs extended. So what we're going to do is to sit with the feet together and the knees apart. How does that feel, Kieran? Okay. You can have your feet further away from you. So if you have your feet further away from you, so keep going further away, further away, further away. There we go. And come a bit more to the center of the mat, sorry. There we go. So from here, take your feet further, further, further. Yeah. And you want to find that you're sitting up lovely and tall. So in this position, his head, and I want you to feel that your head is on top of your bottom or on top of your tail. If Kieran was to lean forwards more, can you feel, Kieran, how your head doesn't feel on top of your bottom anymore? And if you lean back too much, you might feel your back hurting a little bit and your hips hurting a little bit. So come back to the center and let's bring the head up. So now you've got the sense of the floor. You've got your sit bones. Those are the bony protrusions of your bottom, and you're lengthening upwards from that. Your spine is snaking in its natural curves and you're sitting as well as you possibly can. Grab a block or a cushion to sit on if it helps. Kieran, would you like?
The mat's fine.
Mat's fine. Perfect. So from here, we're going to teach you how to do a side bend from side to side. And that is a wonderful stretch for your back and brilliant mobility. So I highly recommend this. So what we're going to start with is that gentle engagement of your pelvic floor and the deep abdominals again. Excellent. Now with his right hand, Kieran's going to send this arm forwards and up. As his arm goes forwards and up, I want you to feel that your shoulder blade glides in your back to avoid any tension in your neck. If you are feeling tension in your neck, take your arm forwards and hopefully that decreases that pull from your neck into the upper shoulder. Now, maintain. Tip the head to the side. So in this instance, you're going to tip his head to the side, feeling the length coming into the neck. Allow the spine to move into the side straight and take your left arm out to the side. Good. Feel your spine elongate as you go into your side stretch, and the arm, which is on the floor, will naturally flex to accommodate the stretch. Feel both sides of your waist elongating on an upwards position and almost like your ears are being pulled upwards. Excellent. And then come back to your center. Rebuild the spine bone by bone by bone as you come back. Kieran, if you place your other arm down now, and then we're going to take the left arm up. So the left arm comes up, the spine elongates. Excellent. Now you go into the flex of the spine to the side. As you go into that flex, the elbow bends, the spine elongates. Keep lifting up through the chest into that flexion to the side. So it's all about length. We want to create length. We want to increase the spaces of the bones and then come back bone by bone, rebuilding the spine from the pubic bone to the chest to the head. Good. And again, right arm lifts up. Well done. Tipping the head to the side. Well done. Good. Rebuild from the base, the pubic bone. Excellent. As you come back, the chest, the head, and then the arm. Last one on this side, the arm floats up. Thinking about the shoulder blade gliding. And if you have any issues in terms of bringing that arm up, if you have any sticky points, remember you can take your arm forwards into the side bend. That looks great, Kieran. Well done, and come back. Great, and place the arm down. Now, we're going to go into some rotation of your spine. I'm going to ask Kieran to cross his arms over his chest. And sometimes with rotational movements, which are integral for spinal health, particularly in your thoracic spine, so your upper back, which as we age becomes, takes you into a rounded position. Rotation keeps it supple, keeps you elongated. So what we're going to do is to work into rotation, not from your back muscles pulling you into this, but from your abdominals. This is a waist muscle work. This is a waist exercise. So from your waist, not from your shoulders, not from your back muscles, we're going to twist. So imagine your body, you're going to twist from your rib cage to one side and your chest revolves, your arms go along for the ride. Come back to the center of position. Good. Pelvic floor, abdominals are still connected. You're going to go over to the other side. Your body twists up and away, and you're feeling like you're spiraling upwards to the ceiling. Good. And then you come back. And again, twist to the other side. Elongating. Well done, Kieran. Try to relax the shoulders, floppy shoulders. Excellent. Well done. Come back. And then to the other side. And that's lovely. His breath is moving him as well. Actually, let's do one more. Let's inhale, spiraling twist. Very nice. Exhaling, return. Good, Kieran. Inhaling, spiral twist. Good, let your head go along for the ride as well. Good, and come back. And then resting from there. Well done. Now the final exercise, you can take your arms down. We're going to come up into standing. So let's all come up into standing and join us. So Kieran's going to stand with feet at hip distance apart, and he's going to face that way, Kieran. So face the top end of your mat. So fully. There we go. Now, standing position. We're going to stand with your feet. So Kieran's standing with feet at hip distance apart. So let's think about your center of your foot, Kieran, being with the center of your hips. There we go. So center of the foot to center of the hips. Excellent. Good. So from there now, we're going to try to think about where your weight is balanced in your feet. Now, if you stand with your weight into your toes, notice what that does to your back. As you stand with your weight into your heels, notice what that does to the front of your body. Good. And then basically you're moving from front to back to find a neutral position, a balanced position of your weight in your feet, and it's generally more towards your heel. Not on the heel so much that your toes are lifting, but enough to keep you in a centered position. Well done. So then, like we did in lying down on your back, in the 4-point kneeling position, in the seated position, we're going to think about what's going on with the pelvis and the spine. So we want the back of your head in line with the back of the shoulders, in line with the back of the pelvis. Now, because you're standing, we want to think about the back of the pelvis in line with the back of your heels. Your heel is your supporter of your weight. Funnily enough, that small little bone supports you all the way up to your head. So if you think about those bones being aligned, then hopefully it will mean every time we do any exercises, you know exactly where you need to be in, and you know where your weight needs to be balanced. Great. So we're going to do an exercise called a roll down. Lovely back strengthening exercise and abdominal strengthening exercise. So Kieran's going to engage his pelvic floor and the deep abdominals. Excellent. And now he's going to bring his chin soft to his throat. So it's a bit like going into a double chin or flattening, like say a soft fruit in your throat. Then he's going to flex his spine forwards from the top. So from the upper abdominals, he flexes. His shoulders just go along for the ride. The head is relaxed. He's going to start flexing and flexing more. Good. Just pause there for a second, Kieran, and let your head go down. So you may now be feeling, as you go down further, your hamstrings are now going, they feel a little bit tense. So Kieran's going to bend his knees a little bit. Good. So from here now, I want you to feel your pubic bone drawing in towards your chest more. That increases the tensional stretch of his back, and then your head can really relax down. Good. And now you're going to rebuild your body from the bottom to the top, using your abdominals, bringing the pelvis above the feet, then the rest of the spine, the back of the shoulders, and then the head. Good. And then inhale again. Exhale, pelvic floor abdominals, chin soft to your throat, rolling down. Good. Let the spine flex forward. Feel yourself like you are almost bending over a fence. You're keeping the abdominals really active, and what in turn that does is to stretch the spine more. Good. You're supporting your back from the abdominals. Excellent. If your legs are fully lengthened and you can still maintain that flexion of the spine, absolutely fine. If you need to bend your knees, please do so. Inhale at the bottom. Exhaling, return back up. Now bringing that pubic bone up and then re-establishing the pelvis, thinking about the bones of the back of the head, the back of the shoulders, the back of the pelvis, the back of the heels. Great. One last one. Off you go. Now that flexion of the spine, as I mentioned before, is about increasing the spaces. If your back muscles are only ever working in a strengthened way, in a shortened way, then that doesn't make for a healthy, supple, able, adaptable spine. And what this exercise is doing is working you in both ways. And Kieran's going to come back up, find his lovely length, and well done. Excellent. So you've just completed, you can turn around. That's it. Well done. Thank you, Kieran. Thank you for joining us. You've just completed session 1 of the beginner program.